Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today we're going to be doing a Phantom Knight Burning Abyss PK Fire deck profile. So this is a really awesome deck now that the Phantom Knights of Rusty Bard is actually back at 1 now, which is actually insane. This card gets you so much advantage that is actually crazy, and this card is really good, and the reason they actually unlimited this card and put it at 1 now is because of the new support coming in Phantom Rage. But I figured I'd go ahead and do an update of it now, so without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out that Patreon down in the description below because you got some awesome rewards, you guys, like getting your name in the description for every single video, getting a signed card sent in the mail, or even getting requested deck profile just like this one every single month that you are a patron along with test hands. So without further ado guys, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Farfa Malabranch of the Burning Abyss. So all of your Malabranches share the ability that if you control a monster that's not a Burning Abyss monster, you destroy this card. And you can only use each effect of it once per turn. You can either special summon it if you have no spells or traps in your back row, which is the same effect for every single Malabranch monster, and then they have an added bonus effect. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target one monster on the field and banish it until the end phase, which is really good for Xyz monsters because it can really help you out get those monsters off the field, lose their materials and stuff like that. But it really works well with Link monsters or powerful negations because you can just get those cards off the field and not have to deal with them. We then play 3 copies of Skarm Malabranch of the Burning Abyss. If this card is in the graveyard during the end phase, then you can add a level 3 Dark Fiend type monster from your deck to your hand, which is an insanely good effect for this deck and is super good, especially with Seer Malabranch of the Burning Abyss now being at 2. This card is really good as well. I'm so glad that they actually put Seer and Graph back at 2 each. It's a really good card, and it's been at 1 for like a long time. Like I think for like 7 or 8 years this card's been at 1. I don't even know. Like it's been since I think like Dimensions of Chaos or something like that. I don't remember. It's been a little while since the Arc 5 like era that this card's been in at 1. But what this card does is if it's sent to the graveyard, you get to target a Burning Abyss monster in your graveyard, except another copy of itself, and special summon it. Then we play 2 copies of Graph, which has the same exact effect if it's sent to the graveyard, except it special summons from the deck instead of the graveyard. We then play a single copy of Libic Malabranch of the Burning Abyss. Libic is really good in the deck too because Libic helps you get those monsters from your hand onto your side of the field, because if this card is sent to the graveyard, then you get to special summon a level 3 Dark Fiend type monster from your hand, but you negate its effects. So you just play it as a one of. So again, all of their effects are kind of the same, that you can special summon them from your hand if you don't control a spell or trap, and they also share the ability that if they're on the field and you don't have them, if you have a monster that's not a Burning Abyss monster, then they destroy themselves, and then they have all those bonus effects. Then we play 3 copies of Fiendish Rhino Warrior, which actually turns that destruction effect off because it has the ability that if you control this card, Fiend-type monsters cannot be destroyed by battle or by card effects, except for Fiendish Rhino Warrior, which turns off all of their own popping themselves effects, which is kind of cool. We then also have the ability that if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can send a Fiend monster from your deck to the graveyard, which is a really neat effect to send a Fiend monster like a copy of Farfa, a copy of Seer, Graph, any of the ones that you particularly need to start looping your plays. It's really helpful to get them into the graveyard. We then play 3 copies of Tour Guide from the Underworld. Tour Guide is really good in here because Tour Guide basically sets up a lot of your plays, because you can normal summon out Tour Guide, and she actually went to 3 on this list too. But when you normal summon her out, you get to special summon a level 3 Fiend monster from your deck, which can be Fiendish Rhino Warrior, it can be any of the other monsters that you have on your field. It's really helpful. The only thing is you can't use it for Synchro material, which I do play 2 Synchro monsters in the extra deck with this particular build, which is really cool. So that's it for the Fiend monsters. Let's get into the Phantom Knights and the tech cards of the deck. So for the Phantom Knights, we're going to be playing 2 copies of the Phantom Knight of Ancient Cloak, which can search any of the Phantom Knight cards that are in your deck by banishing it from your graveyard. And it also has the ability that this card's in attack position, you can target one dark monster on your side of the field, switch this card to defense, and if you do, that monster gains 800 attack, which is pretty good. We play 3 copies of Silent Boots. Silent Boots can special summon itself from your hand if you control another Phantom Knight monster, which is again a pretty good effect, but you can banish it from your graveyard to add a Phantom Knight spell or trap from your deck to your hand, which is the best effect of this card. 1 copy of Ragged Gloves. Ragged Gloves, if you use it to XYZ summon a dark XYZ monster, then that Dark XYZ monster gains 1,000 attack. And you can manage this card from your graveyard and then send a Phantom Knight card from your deck to the graveyard, which is really helpful to send something to the graveyard like a copy of your Phantom Knight Fogblade to be able to special summon it, a monster back onto your side of the field, which is really good for the deck. We then play 2 copies of Psychic Wielder. Psychic Wielder is the tuner of the deck and what I use to go into my 2 synchro monsters in the deck. It's a really good card that if you control a level 3 monster other than a Psychic Wielder, then you can special summon this card from your hand in defense. You can only use this effect once per turn. And if this card is sent to the graveyard as a synchro material, you can target 1 card on the field with a less attack than the synchro monster used as a material and destroy it, which is really good, especially to summon one of our synchro monsters because it gets us an additional pop on our side of the field. We then play a single copy of Psychic Tracker. Tracker is really good because it can special summon itself from your hand if you control a level 3 monster, except another copy of itself, in defense position, and a monster that uses this as a synchro material gains 600 attack, which is really good for the plays that we're going to have in the deck. 1 copy of Edge Imp Sabers. Edge Imp Sabers is really good because it can recur itself over and over again from the graveyard just by placing a card from your hand on top of your deck, and it's a level 3 Fiend monster. We play a single copy of Danger Tatsunoko because it can special summon itself from your hand really easily. A single copy of Danger Jackalope, same thing, you get to draw a card and it special summons itself to your side of the field. And then if it's sent to the graveyard, then you can special summon a danger monster from your deck, which can be Tatsunoko, which is again pretty good. And then we play 3 copies of Ash Blossom because Ash Blossom is really helpful in the deck to be able to stop your opponent from doing all sorts of different shenanigans. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spell, which rarely we say. We actually only play 1 spell in the deck, and that is a single copy of Foolish Burial. I just play a single Foolish Burial because it can send any of the cards that I need to the graveyard when I need them, like a copy of my Ancient Cloak to search a copy of the Phantom Knight's card, or a copy of Boot if I want to search a Phantom Knight spell or trap, which is really, really good to be able to grab the particular pieces that I need. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. The traps is where this deck starts to really, really, really excel. So for the traps, we're playing a single copy of the Phantom Knights of Shade Brigandine. You're going to use this card for pretty much a link fodder because you search it from the deck and then you can special summon it to your side of the field if you don't have a trap in your graveyard. You can activate it the turn it's set if you don't have a trap in your graveyard, which is really good. And it also becomes out as a level 4, which is a little unfortunate. I wish it came out as a level 3, but it's still pretty good as a 1-of. And then we play 3 copies of Fogblade. Fogblade is really good as a 3-of in the deck because this card is ridiculously good. It lets you activate it by targeting an effect monster on the field, and you negate its effects. Basically, it's Fiendish Chain. You target the monster, you tie this card to it, essentially, and then it makes it so it can't be targeted for attacks, and it negates its effect, which is really good. But monsters can't attack that monster, which kind of sucks, which is where Breaksword comes into play, where you can pop this and pop the opponent's monster, and then banish this from the graveyard and special summon a Phantom Knights, which is super nice. And it just helps out a lot to be able to just stop opponents' effects. And then we play 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Impermanence is good in the deck too, because it's just an extra hand trap that your opponent usually doesn't stop. And it's like Effect Veiler as well. And it also has the ability that you can basically use it on your first turn, which is super nice, because you can target a face that monster your opponent controls, negate its effect until the end phase of the turn. And if this card is set before activation, while it's on the field as resolution for the rest of the turn, all cards in spell and trap card column cannot be activated. And if this card you control, if you control no other cards, you can activate this card from your hand, which is really good to be able to stop cards on the first turn, which is super, super nice. But I still am proxying this card, but you can check out how to make these proxies over on my channel. I think I'm the first one that pops up if you actually look up perfect Yu-Gi-Oh proxies. So if you want to see how to make these and make them look this good, you can look it up that way. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're playing 1 copy of the Phantom Knights of Rusty Bard. Rusty Bard is really, really, really insane. I anticipate this card going back to being banned in maybe 2 or 3 lists, because it's just that good, especially with tier scales coming out. That card is really insane with this card. But what this card does is during your main phase, you can send a Phantom Knight monster from your deck to the graveyard, which is already going to get you a search, and then it gives you a search. So summoning this card is a +2 right off the bat, because you're going to get a search, and you're going to get a card that's going to send to the graveyard that you're going to banish for a search, like a copy of Ancient Cloak or Silent Boots, which is really good. And you're going to get 2 Fog Blades, essentially, out of this 1 card. And then if you XYZ summon a monster, while this card is on the field, except during the damage step, then if you special summon an XYZ monster to a zone this card points to that's dark, then you get to target a card on the field and destroy it. And you can only use each effect of it once per turn, and it can't be used as link material, which is not that big of a deal. I'm usually going to keep it on the field anyways. 1 copy of Access Code Talker, just in case I need more pops in this deck, because this deck doesn't do that enough. 1 copy of Unicorn, just to be able to bounce stuff. Phoenix to pop spells and traps. Cerberus, because it's an earth target and to pop monsters. Cherubini. Cherubini is really good in the deck too. I've considered playing 2 Cherubinis in this deck, but I feel like 1 is fine. But you can drop the Cerberus if you want to for the second Cherubini if you want to. This card's really good to send level 3 monsters from deck to graveyard, which is why I thought about playing this card as a 2 of. I don't think I want to, but I'm kind of leaning towards it. It's really good at sending stuff like your copy of your Phantom Knights to the graveyard or stuff like that to boost itself up, but it's really low stats, and you're usually just going to use it to climb into your Bardige anyways, which is pretty good, but it's just a stepping stone essentially. 1 copy of Trishula. Trishula is really good to go into with your copy of Wheelater because it's going to get you 4 cards, because Wheelater is going to give you a pop, and then Trishula is going to give you the ability to pop or to banish a card from your opponent's hand, field, and grave. So you're essentially going to get 3 cards out of your opponent off of this, and then a card as well off of your copy of your Wheelater, which is really good. And then a single copy of Bryonic. Bryonic's easier to summon in this deck because you're just going to ditch a bunch of cards from your hand to the graveyard, which is going to get you a bunch of searches, usually, or special summons. Really easy to summon in this deck. You just summon Wheelater and any other level 3 monster. So it's ridiculously easy to summon and awesome to be able to bounce cards. 1 copy of Beatrice. Beatrice you summon on top of a Dante. No pun intended. And if this card is summoned this way, then you can't use its effect this turn. And then once per turn, during either player's turn, you can detach material from this card and send any card from your deck to the graveyard. And if it's destroyed by battle or by card effect, then you get to special summon a Burning Abyss monster from your extra deck, ignoring your summoning conditions, which is going to be your Dante Pilgrim, always. You play 2 Break Swords. I think 2 Break Swords is the correct number. It gets you double pops on your opponent's side of the field, which is really good. If it is destroyed, then you get special summon 2 of your Phantom Knight monsters back to your side of the field, and you increase their levels by 1. And you can't special summon anything but dark for the rest of the turn, but thank goodness we have our Bardige. So you can use Bardige if you want to, or you can use it to go into a copy of Cherubini, which is why I'm thinking about playing the second Cherubini, because you can link the 2 materials that you summon back away for Cherubini if you want to go that route, and then climb into a copy of Access Code Talker if you want to go that route as well. Lemonade the Sea Dragon. Sea Dragon is really good because you can detach a material from it and special summon a level 4 Banish monster, which is super nice to be able to do. I really like that ability to be able to just pop additional cards, or not be able to pop, but special summon additional cards. 2 copies of Dante as well. The 2 Dantes are super nice to be able to just mill cards off the top of your deck to get you searches, to get you special summons. It just has so much advantage to get Dante on your side of the field. And it comes out 2,500 when it battles. It switches itself to defense position. And a single copy of Dante Pilgrim, which you're always going to summon off your copy of Beatrice. It's like when he's redeemed after he's gone through the Abyss. So, that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. It's super, super cool that they actually have Bardige back at 1. Do I think it'll last? Nah, I think it's too good. I think this deck is going to be tier 1, and I think the majority of the stuff that you're going to be playing in the deck, I don't think they're going to hit Burning Abyss again. I think it'll be fine with BA, but I think they will eventually hit the Link Monster again. I really do. I think it's just too powerful. I think you getting 2 searches out of it is just ridiculous. And this card is just so good, but enjoy it while it lasts. So, anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell next to comment part of notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.